Broadcasts of the City of Neenah Common Council meetings are produced by University Studios of the University of Wisconsin-Fox Valley. Neenah residents can get information about City Council meetings, City Committee meetings, meeting agendas, and other documents via the City website, www.neenahgov.org. Neenah residents can express their opinions about city issues or about these broadcasts by contacting the mayor's office, contacting their city alderman, or by completing the electronic feedback form on the city website, www.neenahgov.org. All public portions of the meetings are recorded in entirety and are not edited for playback.
All right, I would like to call to order the meeting of the Neenah Common Council for Wednesday, July 15th, 2020. Due to the public health emergency caused by the COVID-19 pandemic, this meeting is occurring virtual locations that are accessed by the below link or the conference call. Both committee members and the public have access to the meeting through these that have been properly noticed on the website and other means. So the public is invited to join us. There is all the proper notices have been given, so we are first item of business is the roll call. Stephanie, would you like to call the roll call, please?
All right, Alderperson Boyette.
Here. I'm here.
Here.
Lang.
Here.
Lendrum.
Here.
Erickson.
Here.
Spellman.
Here.
Stevenson.
Here.
And Alderperson Steele is coming in a little bit.
Okay, thank you very much. There's 8 members present, 8 members present at this, 7 members present at this time. I apologize. 7 members present, and item number 2, there are no introduction or mayor's appointments tonight. Item number 3 is the approval of the council proceedings for July 1, 2020 regular session and the July 6, 2020 special session. Is there a motion? No, I'm sorry, that's unanimous consent. I would ask unanimous consent to approve those 2 proceedings. Is there any objection to unanimous consent to approve those 2? Alderman Bates?
Don't we have to get a motion to, no? Yes.
Okay, yep, go ahead. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Sorry about that. Alderman Ledrum moves. Is there a second? Alderman Kathy Boyette seconds. Now, is there unanimous consent to any of these 2 proceedings being approved? Alderman Bates.
Thank you. I gave Clerk Cheslock a call earlier. I don't know if she got my message, but in the proceedings, the Roman numerals don't quite match up. I have a feeling it's because there were some issues that didn't have anything listed under their activity.
Yep, that's not a error. That's fine. And the spelling error you mentioned, I already fixed and it's out there.
Right. I just wanted to make sure. Usually, when we have proceedings, that the proceedings Roman numerals match up with what the agenda was, and they currently don't. So.
Okay,
Minutes
we'll
were
have.
good, agenda or the proceedings were not.
All right, we'll look at that in the morning. I think I'll have Jim and Stephanie look at that. So thank you for bringing that to our attention. Is there any objection, unanimous consent to approve the council proceedings, the July 1 regular session and the July 6 special session? Any objection? Hearing no objection, that's so ordered. Item number 4. We have a public input session regarding the discussion and consideration of public input and other matters relating to the 2020-2024 Capital Improvement Program, including any potential amendments to the 2020-2024 Capital Improvement Program. This is an opportunity for the public to provide any input. Is there anyone on the call or the computer virtual meeting that would like to speak regarding the capital improvement plan? I don't see anyone. I see Mr. Buns is here. That's for another issue. So is there anyone who would like to discuss with the council anything related to the capital improvement program plan for 2020 to 2024? I'll ask one more time. Anyone? Last chance? Seeing no one, I will close the public input session. That takes us to item number 5, which is the Committee of the Whole report pertaining to the public input session. Council President Stevenson?
The Common Council met under the Committee of the Whole setting and reviewed the entire capital 2020 to 2024 capital improvement plan, better known as the 5-year capital plan. And at this time, there were no motions taken at that time. There were a number of potential changes that were identified by individual council members. At this time, I will make a motion to approve the 2020 to 2024 capital improvement plan as presented by the mayor at this time.
I'll second that.
There's a motion by Alderman Stevenson, seconded by Alderman Lundrum, to approve the 5-year capital improvement plan, 2020 to 2024 capital improvement plan as was presented by the mayor at this time. So that will open it up. If I may just take a couple minutes here just to make a couple comments. I know you usually do that, but I understand with this new system that it's a little bit tougher, but I do want to take a minute or two just to reinforce, and we did talk, and I want to commend the council for spending a good amount of time with this document. We did spend one whole evening with it. I know some committee members have been speaking with some of the staff members with regards to small potential changes, and as I stated that night, I think that that's good. I think it's fine. This is a roadmap. I always talk about the fact that the city, needs a roadmap. We need a plan. This is a budgetary guide for future city projects and equipment. It's nothing more than that. So I take your input, which is very valuable, and I take it seriously. And so if there are adjustments to be made, we'll discuss them and we'll make them if necessary. I've been involved in a couple of these discussions, and some very good suggestions have come up with from committee members that we may talk about tonight. So, but with that being said, I talked a little bit about the fact that, because we're entering this period where, we haven't seen this in our lifetimes, where we don't know what the future is going to bring with COVID-19, and we're a little unsure of revenues and everything. I think all this, future planning is good. It's necessary, but there may have to be adjustments. We'll see where the revenues take us and what the future brings. But hopefully, if we can get past this, we can continue on our programs. The transportation system in this community is still pretty important to me, the road system. We're going to have 8 road projects next year, and that continues. About 40% of our budget's still spent on road projects. We have the 4 major projects, which total about $23 million over the next 4 years. And those are the police station possible addition, the possible new West Side Fire Station, or a remodel of that fire station, continued development of Arrowhead Park, and of course, a downtown parking ramp. And I think you've heard some of those discussions tonight. We've been extremely fortunate this past 2 weeks to actually announce 2 major housing projects, valued at about $20 million in the downtown area. And with that comes pressure on parking. I have come to that realization that it's time that we consider a parking ramp instead of utilizing more valuable land space for surface parking. So parking ramps are expensive, but because of the great success of our downtown, we need this. I'm going to get into it a little bit more when we're talking about it, parking ramp, if we get to it during the discussion on the CIP, but I will tell you that Chris and I were on a phone call today with one of our major CEOs of one of the companies downtown, and they totally agree that a parking ramp, more parking is necessary for their continued success in the downtown. We talked a lot about the future business models, and that if companies such as the ones we have downtown are going to continue to have that strong employee presence, and I'll talk somewhat about that in a little bit, but he assured me that they did. They also said, in my line here, I said, if we build it, they will come. And these two believe that if we can provide more parking, they will add to the employee base in their corporations, and they will be working downtown and spending their dollars downtown and utilizing our business district. So that was encouraging. So overall, I think you guys we spent a lot of time on this. There's a lot to digest in this. It is a plan, nothing more. All this can be changed when we talk about, I think, in November, because of this situation we find ourselves in. I think we're going to have to be a lot, look a little bit deeper. But right now, this plan is something that I hope we move forward to with some minor changes that you may have, but it at least sets us on a roadmap of where we're going for the future, and it helps me put together, after listening to your concerns, put together the November budget as far as the capital improvements and equipment that we need to properly operate this city and provide the services, the core services that the citizens are demanding, and make sure that we do it in an efficient way. So with that, I'm not going to take up a lot more time. You've all read it. You've seen the press reports about it in the Post-Crescent. We've talked probably to constituents. I have had some discussions with constituents who've asked me, and one of the questions has been from constituents is to make sure that the business models aren't going to change, where in the future we may need less parking, and I'll talk about that a little bit more down the road. But other than that, I think we have a pretty good document, and it lays out a great future for the council and the mayor and the citizens in the coming years. So thanks a lot for listening to me. So with that being said, and I also thanks Mike again for help put this together, because he deserves a lot of the credit for helping me make these decisions, because and not just the decisions, but putting the document together. So, all right, so there's a motion and a second. Is there any motions?
I'll start.
Alderman Lundrum and then Alderman Bates.
Two things real quick. Mike, are we going to do a running total as we work along here, like we normally do as these pass?
Yes, we are. I've got that set up for each year, spending, borrowing, what we use from reserves, and any changes to carry forwards.
Okay, as we go through that is always really helpful. So I'd like to start, and I'd like to move to reduce, this is from that memo that is from Mike Easker on July 9th. I would like to move to reduce funding for the Berkshire Muller Museum, the subsidy, and make it $25,000 in 2021 to 24, which is a $5,000 decrease in 21, $10,000 decrease in 22, $10,000 decrease in 23, $15,000 decrease in 24. And I so move.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Questions or discussion on lowering the amount of dollars for the Berkshire Muller Museum in the 4 years outlined? questions or comments? Alderman Carey, go ahead.
I can explain my reasoning behind that. Looking at their plans, it was, some of it was capital improvements on the building, which makes sense. But then some of it was, were things like the phone system and irrigation and things like, or not irrigation, but phone system and maybe security, which I believe should be coming from their budget.
Marge, go ahead. Alderman Bates.
Thank you, Mayor. Agreeing with Alderman Lendrum, what I have encouraged them to do in the past was to, if they have a larger project that is definitely associated with the building and something that we should be taking care of, I've encouraged them to separate that out and approach us with that separately as opposed to the subsidy, which should do regular maintenance on it. We just inked the agreement with us 2019 for the 25,000, which was an increase. So I thought keeping it at 25, at least for a few more years, it would be at least in the spirit of the agreement we just made. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Alderman Stevenson, go ahead.
Just briefly, I'll support the motion basically because of what Alderperson Bates said about living through this agreement and providing some history. But at some point, I'm fully supportive of recognizing that adjustments will probably need to be made in out years. But I'll support it now.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, I don't have serious qualms about it. I think when they met with me, they made it. That is our building, and you know, it's our asset. I just want to make sure that we protect our asset. But I understand where you're coming from, and at a time later, we may have to make an adjustment or two. I think Alderman Marge Bates has a good suggestion, but that's why I did what I did. So, but understandable. Anyone else? Seeing no one else, there's a motion and a second. Motion by Alderman Lundrum. All in favor. Jim, are these roll calls or voice votes?
The amendments can be voice votes. The final vote has to be a roll call.
Thank you very much. All in favor of Alderman Lundrum's motion will signify by saying aye.
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 Is there any noes? Any noes? Hearing no noes, that passes unanimously. Alderman Bates, go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor. I had two on the list. I am going to start with the number 5, which I had sent some extra information to Director Easker. The mayor had taken out 2 sidewalks, the only sidewalks we had in the proposal, even though the TARF was supposed to be encouraging us to, well, not encouraging us, but allowing us to build, fill in sidewalks in the city without imposing the cost on the residents themselves. And so we went from the 2 sidewalks that were recommended by the Public Works Department down to 0, and those would have totaled 180,000. Thinking more about the situation as opposed to trying to get those 2 back in at that price, I have 2 requests, an amendment to increase 2022 pedestrian system and adding in $19,000 for the west side of North Park Avenue and $9,500 for the east side of North Park Avenue. What that would do would be to, there are sidewalks in that area that just stop mid-block. It's about half and half, or maybe 60-40 that have the sidewalks and then they just stop. So in order to link up to the project that will be going on in 2022 at the parks to do their pedestrian work out there, I propose, or I wish to make the amendment to up the 2022 CIP to for those two projects in a total of $28,500.
Is there, there's a motion, is there a second? Alderman Erickson seconds it. So just so I have my numbers, Alderman, 19,000 and 9,500
Yes.
estimated?
Yep.
For
So
a
instead
total 28,500.
So instead of spending 65,000 for that year, we're down to 28,500. And it's,
Okay, okay.
I have heard other aldermen who were concerned about connectivity between Riverside and Lakeshore.
Okay. Thank you for the motion. Is there, there is a second. So any discussion, questions or comments? Alderman Lang.
So clarify for me, Marge, are you talking about both sides of North Park?
Yeah, they both have partial sidewalks on them. And the interesting thing is on some of the driveways, at least the ones I looked at, there is actually sidewalk built into the driveway with little like flaps that go even wider than the driveway. And those are sidewalk sections.
I guess I'm a little bit concerned about the west side of North Park, particularly because I can think immediately of an impediment to the sidewalk in the
All the fences, all the brick fences are not in the way. There is one tree there, and that's the only tree that's in the general area, further closer to the north end. But the others, all the sidewalk sections in their driveway do clear all the fences. There is enough space.
I'm surprised by that.
I just was there today and looked at it. Director Kaiser can probably.
Jerry, can you just clarify that where the sidewalks would go would not impede any of those? Jerry Kaiser, there you go.
Oh, my mind, did you have a specific area that you were thinking there was an impediment?
The wrought iron fence. I can't recall the address off the top of my head.
So we've got wrought iron fence with
Closer
like
to the point.
flagstone post in between. Yeah, that sidewalk section is on the street side of that fence. Are you closer up to the point?
To the point, yep. Closer
Okay.
to the point.
There isn't actually a right-of-way encroachment on the north end.
That's what I'm concerned about.
Yeah, there's a property owner that has encroached into the Kimberly Point property or the road right-of-way. I don't recall which it is at that spot, but
So that's the last one at the park?
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that's far end by the park.
So they're on our right of way currently, correct?
That's correct.
So in the case of the home that is a little bit further down from the point, but has the wrought iron fence, has the lagoon behind it, that fence is not in the right of way. I just am concerned about that fence being right, very close to the curb.
Well, just looking at the sidewalk sections here, both at the driveway and then just to the south, those sidewalk sections are on the street side of that fence. So that fence is on private property.
I would just remind you, this is a planning guide and this can be changed in November. So we do have time to more seriously, we can send the engineers out there and make sure that we're okay so that we have the answers in November if someone would have to take down their fence or something. So we do have some time.
I guess it's more of interest to me because I consider it a historic fence. So
It's not in the way.
I think I figured that out right away, Jane, that you had a historical angle on it. I did. I kind of went, oh, that might be a historical fence. Oh, I know you so well.
Okay, well, if we.
We
if
have some time. I think what we'll do,
I
Jane,
won't,
is
I won't
maybe,
delay the conversation then. I just wanted to make sure that, we're.
yeah, I think it's
thinking about
noted,
those.
and I think Jerry, you can have your guys go out there and kind of look and see if we would be able to do it without taking down Jane's historical fence. Okay? Well, I'm with you, Jane. Okay, I'm with you. So, all right. Any other comments or questions? Go ahead, Alderman Boyette.
So my question is for Director Kaiser, and I'm just curious as to why those sidewalks stop where they do. Obviously, there's a reason that they were never finished. I'm just wondering if you know.
I don't know the background on why those sidewalks ended where they did.
Okay. Does anybody? No.
Todd,
Okay.
Todd, you're the historian. Come on.
My guess is that there were property owners at the time that wanted to have a sidewalk in front of their house for little children or grandchildren or something, and
They put them in.
they put them in. That would be my guess.
Yeah, you're probably right.
I'm
But-
just curious. I'm just curious because I don't. In my time here, I don't recall us giving homeowners the option of having a sidewalk or not. We just do it, like the whole
We
street
don't do
gets
that
it.
anymore.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, good question. And we all want connectivity. Even, I talk about connectivity of sidewalks and that. So I get it, and I can appreciate Marge's what she's trying to do. So, Alderman Bates, go ahead.
And in one of either the ordinances or the procedures, accepted procedures here, we have said that we do not like disjointed sidewalks. And there have been times that when we weren't going to put a sidewalk in and somebody put a sidewalk in just like one lot, we gave them the option of taking it out. In this case, it's at least half, or it's about half that have it, half that don't. And if we want to link up to the park between Riverside and Kimberly Point, this is the goal.
Okay. Anyone else have any questions on this motion? Seeing no questions or comments, all in favor of the motion by Alderman Bates regarding sidewalks on North Park Avenue, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Hi.
Hi.
Is there any noes? Seeing or hearing no noes, that's so ordered. Thank you. Go ahead. You have another one?
Yeah, on 2024, when we're reconstructing Wisconsin Avenue, the north side of that last block at Lakeshore, where we would be linking up the corner from Riverside Park to Lakeshore on the north side of Wisconsin Avenue, that would be $17,500. And I would like to add that as an amendment, and that would be, I will be ignoring the request I previously had for putting Baldwin back in, which was going to cost $115,000. So this would be $17,500 in the year 2024.
And you would so move?
I would so move.
Thank you. Alderman Bates moves. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Alderman Stevenson seconds. So this is the section between the corner of North Park and Wisconsin Avenue running to Lakeshore Drive. Is that correct? Lakeshore
Yes,
Avenue.
right now we're trying to finish off the south side, and this would just so people don't have to go from Riverside crossing to the north side and then crossing back, or cross to the south side, walk through there, and then cross back to the north.
Okay. Comments or questions? This would be in 2024. The motion is for.
Many years.
That's when we're planning on doing Wisconsin Avenue, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Anyone else? There's a motion by Alderman Bates, second by Alderman Stevenson. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
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 Is there any noes? Hearing no noes, that's so ordered. Thank you, Alderman Bates. Anything else?
The third one is, we believe this might have been an oversight, but in 2024, there was pedestrian routes replacement and repair, which is our usual cost, that was left off or zeroed out, and I would like to put in his normal repair amount, which is 150,000, and I would so move.
Alderman Bates moves. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Alderman Stevenson seconds. I would tell you that I do believe this was a error on my part. It was an oversight, so I appreciate, you know, for planning purposes, absolutely we do this. So thank you. Alderman Stevenson, go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to confirm though, Alderperson Bates, that we were talking about adding just 150,000 to the replacement repair fund, correct?
Correct. The other one I am leaving off. I did talk to Jerry about it, and I think he was at least accepting of it. So the 150,000 is just for the replacement and
Yeah, and
repair.
I'm supportive of the action and the non-action. I'm supportive of 150, and I also support not just putting 100,000 in there without a project.
Thank you.
That's a positive negative, that's called.
Double negative, double positive.
All right, anyone else have comments or questions? There's a motion by Alderman Bates, seconded by Alderman Stevenson. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
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 Is there any opposed? Hearing no noes, that's so ordered. Is that all right now, Marge? All right, that's thank you very much, Alderman Bates. Other motions? Alderman Stevenson.
Yeah, I'll deal with number 3 on the memo that Mike sent out summarizing the identified potential actions.
Okay.
I will increase the funding for street upgrades for Congress Street. Is it Congress or commercial? Jerry.
It's Congress.
Okay, okay, so for Congress Street in 2023, from $440,000 to $915,500. I'll make a motion.
There's a motion by Alderman Stevenson,
Second.
seconded by Alderman Lang. Alderman Stevenson, could you just please state your motion one more time?
Sure, it's to increase the street upgrade fund for city-initiated streets, Congress Street, in 2023 from $440,000 to $915,500, or a $475,500 increase. Well,
Okay.
this was, and Jerry's expectation was it was supposed to be $915,500 all along, correct, Jerry?
Yeah, that's correct. I think prior years, this may have been budgeted at a resurfacing level, and as we've looked at it, it's going to need to be reconstructed. So that's why the cost difference this go around.
Okay. Any other questions or comments? Seeing no comments, there's a motion by Alderman Stevenson, seconded by Alderman Lang. And this is in 2024, correct, Todd?
2023.
2023. Increase, as stated by Alderman Stevenson, to Congress Street. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Is there any opposed? Hearing no opposition, that's so ordered.
I have a second amendment. I sent an email out to the council last week regarding the carry forward that's identified on page 26 for Arrowhead Park development that was originally funded in 2013 in the amount of $204,128. The recommendation from the mayor was to carry it forward. Staff had then came back to us and said they felt it could be not carried forward and turned in. I met with staff, including the mayor, Mike Kading, Mike Easker, and Chris Hayes, and rather than let those dollars lapse, I'm going to ask that those dollars be repurposed to offset borrowing in the 2021 facility budget for Arrowhead Park. You can see the summary on page 48 of your book. There's a $1.2 million in facilities on page 48, and the detail for that 1.2 million can be found on page 57. You'll remember during our workshop session, I felt strongly that rather than just let those dollars lapse and then borrow more, that we repurpose those dollars and reduce borrowing. And in essence, that's what we're going to do. And Mike, and Chris are all okay with that strategy.
Okay. All right. Let's see, where am I? Alderman Stevenson makes that motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Alderman Bates seconds. Questions or comments?
Well, in essence, we're not adding to the budget. We are reducing the borrowing needs in 2021 by $204,128.
And yep. Anyone else? Any comments? There's a motion by Alderman Stevenson, seconded by Alderman Bates. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
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 Is there any noes? Hearing no noes, that's so ordered. Alderman Stevenson.
Okay, I'm going to attempt to take up the. I want to get my Kading memo. So the second item and the last item, I believe, to deal with from Director Easker's summary of identified potential changes dated July 9th. The last one is item number 2, which deals with a series of amendments for the Park and Recreation budget. So I had a question. Is Mike on? Mike Kading? I see he's Michael there, right?
Yep, I'm here.
So Mike, is the...
Yep.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. I had a question about the $50,000 in 2021 for a side hill mower. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Right. Our side slope mower is up for replacement, and unfortunately, that didn't. It showed up in the Park and Rec submitted capital request, but it didn't show up in the draft booklet. What the side slope mower does, like any of the overpasses, you'll see the side slopes. So it's designed to sit safely on those side slopes and provide more safety. So it's a relatively expensive machine, but it's one that we can use safely for our staff.
Okay, so in your memo, you mentioned new requests, and I just wanted to verify that we're still utilizing the same technology. We're just replacing a side hill mower.
I know Trevor's also looking into potential remote control where the staff member can stand at the bottom of the hill or at the top of the hill, and it could be mowed remotely rather than putting a staff member in that place. But we have a slide slope mower currently. It would replace that machine. What the technology
Well,
exactly?
Well, I'd like to sit in on the training session on that remote control thing.
I might start
As-
mowing my lawn. I might start mowing.
as-
I'll let you.
Sorry,
You can
you never
certainly be
have.
involved in that.
My grandson would also like to sit in on it. Okay, so I will make a motion summarized in essence what's presented in item number 2. Is that enough, Jim, or do I have to read it? We're going to assume that I don't have to read it and that I make a motion to adopt number 2, which is decreasing.
Sorry, Todd. You don't have to repeat it.
Okay.
Second.
And Mike summarized it in his memo to the council dated July 13, and they all match.
All right.
Second.
There's a motion and a second by, is that Kathy?
Yes, sir.
All right.
Mayor?
Yes, go ahead.
Just a quick, there was a subsequent memo from Mike Kading that slightly amended this number 2, and it has to do with adding $8,000 for the funding, the 2021 funding for the past management equipment. Mike Kading, you believe that number can be down to 6,000, is that correct?
Waiting for that number can go to 2,000. What
Okay.
we'd like to do
It's 2,000. Okay.
Yes. So it'd be a $6,000 reduction from the original request of 8,000.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, so, yeah, but it is correct, Mike, in your memo dated July 13th. You're referencing past management equipment, requested reduction 8,000 and 2,000.
Mm-hmm.
So I think if you're looking, if anybody's working off Mike's memo, this is correct. The amendments that we got weren't as timely. So I would make the amendments based on Mike's memo.
Right.
I'm just reading it quickly here. Okay, so Alderman Stevenson made that motion. Alderman Boyette seconded it. Alderman Boyette, you have a question?
Yeah, for Director Kading. On the on that mower, that side hill cutting mower, whatever.
Sure.
Those are very expensive, and I wasn't aware of the remote. Just curiosity, what would it cost without the remote?
I'm sorry, I don't have that answer. Unfortunately, Trevor's not on tonight, but I could get that for you later.
Okay, sure.
All right. Let's see. That was my camera. What the heck happened here? There you go. Any other comments or questions? So just so if other people who are watching this or the council has a list of these potential amendments that Mike Easker did, and these came out of the workshop, the 4-hour workshop that was held with regards to the capital improvements plan. So that's why we're not as succinct in that, because the council does have the wording in front of them for these amendments unless they deem to change it. So they know what item they're talking about based on Mike Easker's memo about potential amendments. So just wanted to clarify that. Anyone else? Alderman Steele has joined us, so welcome. So the Stephanie, the record will show Alderman Steele has joined the meeting. Alderman Erickson, go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor. On July 9th, I sent out a memo indicating that on page 72 of the CIP, I would like to make a motion to move the funding for the Smart Cities Initiative from...
Oh, Tammy, we have to finish. We have a motion on the floor, so let's finish.
Sorry.
That's okay. Sometimes with these screens and that, I can get mixed up too. So there is a motion on the floor, so let's finish this one. Is there anyone else who has any comments with regards to the motion put forward by Alderman Stevenson, which item 2 in the Mike Easker's list that he sent out. Alderman Stevenson, go ahead.
Yeah, I just think for Danae, just so we can bring her up to speed, Danae, we're dealing with the issue. If you have in front of you the Mike's email of July 9th, we're dealing with the second potential amendment on there that deals with the Park and Recreation Department adjustment.
Item number 2.
Okay, thank you.
Yep, of which there was a decline in one item, reduction in 2, and then some misplaced items in out years 2024 and 2021.
All right, thank you for clarifying that for us. So, and anyone else? Hearing no one else, all in favor of Alderman Stevenson's motion, please signify by saying aye.
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 Is there any no's?
I'm going to abstain because I'm not quite caught up to speed.
Okay,
So.
that's fine. Alderman Steele abstains on that motion. That motion passes with 1 abstention. Other amendments, Alderman Erickson.
Thank you, Mayor. As I was saying, on page 72 of the CIP, I would like to make a motion to move the funding for the Smart Cities Initiative from 2022, which is $45,000, in 2023, which is $50,000, to 2021. The total for 2021 would be $140,000. And the reason for this is to have cameras at all entrances and exits of the city for safety purposes. After I made this motion, I found out that in addition to this cost, there would be a cost for fiber optics that is somewhat unknown at this point. Is that correct, Joe?
Director Wenninger, are you on the line?
Yes, I am. It is an unknown. We're monitoring 3 different options. One would be the city to go it alone and likely run from City Hall to Green Bay Road in Maine and Green Bay Road in Winneconne are the areas we don't have any kind of fiber optics in. We would likely go down Main Street over to Green Bay Road and then Green Bay Road over to Winneconne. That's one option. Of course, going it alone, it's the most expensive. We've got an option we're monitoring. TDS is doing a major fiber project from South Neenah to north of Kaukauna, where they're going to be delivering gigabit fiber to every resident to the doorstep and have it prepped. In September, we should be getting the plan they've got, and there's a possibility that if we're running the same path, we can go ahead and have them put a empty conduit in for us, which would make it much less expensive. The third option is a discussion we had with the school district in that they're going to be running some additional fiber. We could partner with them. They've got some fiber needs in some places also where we have excess fiber, and they have some excess fiber where we would have some need. One example is they've got excess fiber going to Taft School, which would cut the cost significantly because we'd have about a 4-block aerial run to the corner of Main and Green Bay. We should have this pretty well ferreted out by September. So after talking to Tammy on this week, we would be providing numbers in the November version of this budget as to getting fiber to those 2 locations.
Thank you, Director Wenninger. Alderman Erickson, you got the floor.
So at this time, I would like to put this in as a placeholder so that we can discuss it in November, having At that time, we would have the information on the fiber, but I think it's really important for our city to have this tool for the police department to use if they needed to track someone entering or exiting our city after committing a crime. So I'd like to make a motion on this.
Okay.
Second.
There's a motion and a second by Alderman Boyette. I would just say that this smart city stuff is really, really exciting. Joe kind of, a couple of years ago after I became mayor, Joe kind of put me onto this smart city stuff. There's a whole heck of a lot of stuff we can do. We're dipping our toes in the water, but one thing that's easy to do is the cameras and that, having the ability to, you know, if something happens, and you got to make sure you have rules and regulations and procedures in place that this can't be abused for the citizens of your community. But if you make sure that you utilize it properly, it's a great tool to have if something bad happens in your community, and you can solve some cases on it. So I appreciate the effort. I will also say I got to sit in on a meeting with TDS, and I've talked to Joe and Jerry. When we do certain streets in this community, it costs us next to nothing to put some conduit or some pipe, not the conduit, but the pipe, I guess, or the whatever you call it, the plastic stuff in there, so that we can at a later date maybe put some conduit or fiber in there. So we're going to start looking at that when we do streets all over the city, because if once you close up the street, then you got to open it up or you got to underground boring. So the cost of that PVC pipe that we use is not that great, where we can plan for the future. So I just throw that out there. Okay, questions or comments? I'm sorry. Alderman Boyette, then Alderman Lundrum.
So I just wanted to add to what Joe was describing as funding. I would also like to see you check with the DOT, because I know in other areas of the state they have the on and off ramp cameras, and potentially they can help us with cameras at those 41 exits. And maybe they even have a program. So I don't know, but I would want us to entertain checking with them, because I know they already have the cameras, and to swing them around, or to have, maybe we pay a little less for a different camera so we get that whole 360 view or whatever. But I think we should check with others too.
All right, thanks for that suggestion.
You're welcome.
Alderman Lundrum.
Do we have any more, this might be Director Easker, do we have any more Homeland Security money left? I can't remember how much we had last year. Was it like 40,000 or something? Or
Actually, I believe it's closer to 80.
Can we use that for this?
Are you talking about for the smart cities?
Yeah.
I mean, we certainly can. If one of the things, if you recall, we have probably tried to do with the with that grant, old grant money, was to probably use that for something more on the operating side as opposed to capital. It's kind of that's always been, I guess, my hope is that we could use that for something that we would normally have to levy for, which is a little bit of a more difficult thing for us to do sometimes. But it's certainly free for the council to use for any purpose they see fit.
Okay, just part of the discussion then.
Thank you. Alderman Bates, and then Alderman Stevenson.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a quick one. It's page 71 in case you're looking at instead of 72. Now, for Director Wenninger, so this, beyond the cameras, it's also going to allow James to do control work with the signal changing. Isn't that true?
If we get to the intersection, there will be a little bit of a additional upcharge for him to be able to do that. But once we've got fiber to an intersection, we'll be able to accomplish both of those tasks.
All right, thank you.
Council President Stevenson and Alderperson Steele.
Thank you, Mayor. Joe, so the detail on the Smart City Initiative is somewhat vague. I shouldn't say vague, it's just not detailed to location. And you mentioned that after talking with Alderperson Erickson, that you would plan on bringing more detail to the 2021 budget workshops in November, which makes total sense. By that time, would you know the specific locations where you'd be wanting to spend all this money in 1 year? And do you have the capacity within your department to pull that off?
Good question. Director Wenninger, go ahead.
We would be able to get that done. In the areas we're looking at for the traffic cameras are Commercial and Breezewood. That intersection we have fiber running past already, so there's no additional fiber. It would just be the $22,000 to $25,000 for the cameras. And what we're looking at is a
commercial and Bell. Right.
Commercial and Bell, yes. Yep, Commercial and Bell. And what we'd be looking at is a straight line camera pointing each direction, north, south, east, west, and a 360 dome camera to catch the intersection itself. We would also, we're looking at Bell and US 41, Breezewood and US 41. That I'm not sure if we need fiber to. We do have fiber at the corner of Gillingham and Breezewood. Not knowing doing any engineering study, I don't know what the coverage would be there. So we're not sure. The Green Bay and Winneconne and the Green Bay and Maine, those two intersections, we do not have any fiber in the area. We do have fiber, the Fox Valley Tech fiber that we acquired from them that they gave us back about a year ago. So we could cover Bell and Industrial if we were to put cameras up there. And then the last one that we do not have any fiber to, but my understanding is we've got conduit most of the way. And hopefully Jerry can correct me if I'm wrong, but that would be Nicolay and Commercial.
That's correct. We do have conduit through there.
So with the conduit already there, that's a much lower cost. So,
Alderman Stevenson, you have a follow-up?
Nope, that's good.
Right.
I didn't expect to have the locations like right now. I just want to make
if I
sure
don't do it now, I'll forget.
There you go.
Yeah. Well, I will too, so we'll ask you in November again.
Alderman Steele, did you have a question? Unmute yourself, please. There you go.
Yeah, sorry. So I'm somewhat uncomfortable with this. Like, we install all these cameras with capability of filming residents whenever, and then at some point we develop guidelines for who gets access to this and what it's used for, and who is it released to, and under what circumstances. I'm uncomfortable with the idea of this sort of blanket surveillance of our residents without having much clearer guidelines in place first for how this information would be used and who would have access to it and who stores it and how long is it stored for, and could I don't know who could come in at a later time and request access to anything we have stored. I'm not comfortable with that.
Well, thank you for your question, and I think you have a right to have those concerns. Between now and November, we will get you, the state of Wisconsin has specific statutes, specific guidelines, specific protocols of when, how, where you can utilize that information, because they had the same concerns you did. So I think between now and November, we'll get you those, and the police department will show you. So they won't, for the most part, they won't be our rules. The state statutes in that have given us guidance or guidelines that we must do so that we don't use these for any of the nefarious things that we could use them for. So it's only for certain things. Access is very limited, the utilization to the media, those types of things, so that none of the things that you just pointed out happens. Because even myself, unless we absolutely need that information for something, we can't utilize the cameras. So there are guidelines, and the state's very stringent. The legislature itself took it up, and it's one of the few things that they think they passed in a bipartisan way. So we'll have to get that information, okay? Go ahead. Do you have anything to add, Alderman Steele, or any other questions?
No.
But I share some of your concerns. I know Alderman Bates has brought this up, and used in the wrong way, that information, the protection of our citizens and that, and the state of Wisconsin doesn't allow tickets to be written by the use of cameras and things like that. So I think you have a right to be concerned, but I think most of those concerns have been aligned. We just got to get you that information so that we're all feeling more comfortable about it, okay?
Okay.
Alderman Bates.
Yes, and for Alderperson Steele, I will recall back when we got the camera on the police vehicle that does checks up on parking and things like that. We had the same concerns, and we had to go through what the mayor was talking about. We had to go through that point by point on what issues we had, and it is a process that we do need to go through for all of these things when something changes, even in this small way, that we have some policies, but we have to go further with it. I agree with you there.
I think it's good reason to have caution when we use this technology and how we use it. So anyone else? Any other comments, questions? This is on Alderman Tammy Erickson's motion. Alderman Steele, you have a follow-up?
Yeah, I think I'm just going to say that I think I'm going to vote no on this because I'd like to have that information before I would vote on it. And it's just, I mean, not that I might not support it in the future, but I'm just going to, I'm going to vote no because I'd like to see that information before I'm asked to vote on it. So, yeah.
That's understandable. So I think we have the chiefs on here and also Deputy Chief Bernice. So we can get some of that information for you from the state, or I can get Adam to get it for us. So, okay. Other comments or questions on this motion? All right, seeing no one else. There's a motion by Alderman Erickson. Seconded, I can't remember, it was seconded by Stephanie.
Alderman
We have a second, okay. All in favor of Alderman Erickson's motion? Would anyone like her to restate it? Okay, all in favor of that motion signify by saying aye.
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 Are there any opposed?
No.
Any opposed? I hear one opposed. Alderman Steele votes no. That motion passes. Thank you. Other motions? I do have one question, Mike, and Chief Olson is on the line also. I should have probably, you had asked in a letter to the mayor and also members of the council regarding some carryover funds in the possibility of flip-flopping squad radios over mobile radios. Can you explain that a little bit, Chief, and what you had hoped to do?
Yes, our portable radios have been due to be changed out, and we've extended it in an effort to help out with the budget. But those radios are starting to fail a little bit. And our mobile radios in our squad cars are working very well. And we'd rather have our portables changed out, because if they get out of the car and they're in a foot pursuit or anything and the radio has failed, then that puts our officers in in a risky position. So we'd rather have this flip so we can get the portable radios, which is the ones that are on our belts, these little ones here. For safety for our officers, we'd rather have those purchased before our mobile radios in the vehicles.
So Mike, could you, Mike Easker, Director Easker, if an alderman wanted to make that change, which I support, do you have the dollar amounts in that?
We do. I'm sorry, I am. The mobile radio replacements were scheduled for 2021 at $138,000. And then the portable radios and programming is scheduled for 2023 for $230,000. So essentially, Chief, you're just asking to swap those and move the 230,000 portable radios to 2021 and the mobile radio replacements to 2023. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. Correct.
So that would be
Thank you. So to the council, I would tell you that the chief did contact me on this after and asked me if I would consider that. And I said I'd bring it before you tonight if someone would do that. I could, as someone who uses a mobile portable radio out in the field, that's your lifeline many times. Cell phone service doesn't work in some areas. To be honest, sometimes the radio doesn't work either in some certain locations or certain buildings, but it is your lifeline. And if the chief and deputy chief feel that is a priority over the MDCs, I believe that we should respect that. And I was hoping that someone would make that motion and we could discuss it further in November.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
I'll second.
Alderman Erickson moves, seconded by Alderman Boyette. Further discussion. Alderman Stevenson, go ahead.
Could you, I'm looking at the memo from Assistant Chief Bernice that was dated July 8th, and all that's referenced in that memo was the repurposing of carry forward dollars that are on page 70. So then are these two things connected, Chief? That's the first question.
That's a different issue.
The radios were brought up last week during the session with the council. And we said we'd get back to you guys about page 70 for the carry forwards. Okay, so then could I get the numbers, the years and then the numbers and the projects for the motion that's on the floor?
Sure, Mike.
Sure. We would be adding $230,000 to 2021 for portable radio and programming. We would then be
and removing it from when?
From 2023.
All right.
And at the same time, we would be removing $138,000 for mobile radio replacements from 2021 and adding that to 2023.
So just the 5 years.
Yes, sir.
But there's there's a net increase, Todd, to 2021, Mike, of about 92,000. Is that correct?
That is correct.
230,000, and then we're removing and putting in 23. How much?
To 2021, we're adding 230 and removing 138. So the net, we're having a net amount increase of 92,000 for 2021, a net decrease for 2023 of 92,000.
So once again, thank you very much. So I appreciate that consideration. Alderman Erickson moved. There's a second. Other discussion on this item. Alderman Bates, go ahead.
Yeah, so it doesn't really, it looks like the police had figured some of that out earlier, because it looks like they tried to get it in 2022 to start with, and it got moved to 2023. So it looks like they had this in mind all this time. So I will support this.
Thank you. Yeah, they did, and I just tried to stretch it out, and they're telling me that they're failing, and if they're failing, then I probably made a mistake.
Yeah, that's all right. The buttons, those are what are failing, so we can't change channels, and sometimes the press buttons here, they're not working, so they're being sent back a lot more. And that kind of started happening in the last 8 or so months.
Okay, thanks, Chief. Anyone else have any comments or questions on that? If not, there's a motion by Alderman Erickson. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Aye. Aye.
Is there any opposed? Seeing no opposed, that's so ordered. And then we did have the one issue of, as Alderman Stevenson brings out, the carry forward funds for the police department. Chief, would you like to, that was a memo, as Todd points out, of July 8th, 2020 from Assistant Chief Bernice. Mike, you understand it, or
Yep.
Aaron, either one want to go ahead and explain it?
We'll let Aaron if that's okay.
Okay, go ahead, Chief.
Yeah, so for on page 70 for the carry forwards, we have $20,000 for the squad mobile routers and $12,725 for the MDC replacements. Assistant Chief Bernice has been working with IS, specifically Matt, on this, and basically what it is our investigators, instead of having a computer on their desk and a computer in their vehicle, they'll have one computer that they move from the squad car to their desk and so forth, which will save us money and time and should work better. And this was vetted through IS. And I think Joe actually sent an email to you all about that as well, that this is a joint effort through IS and the police department to have better computers and save money at the same time.
So this is really just a repurposing, because the recommendation was to carry it forward, right?
Correct. We just couldn't remember what the two were, and that was because we're combining the two. So we were just a little confused ourselves. That was all.
But we would have probably used that money, Todd, for MDC replacements down the road, and now we won't be able to. And these are adding to the inventory. Is that correct? Adding to the number of MDCs we have within our fleet.
Well,
right?
They have MDCs in their ISU, their investigative vehicles. Will actually be reducing the amount of computers.
Right.
Oh, okay. Well, then I'm reading that wrong. We'll actually be reducing
Is that
them.
right,
Okay.
Jeff? Am I explaining that right, Jeff?
I think he left.
His son is hockey, so he should be on here.
He's on here, so.
Yes, that's correct. Basically, we're utilizing one device for both purposes. One for their office, their standalone desk, one for offsite as far as a laptop, and then a third purpose as a mobile device would be considered their MDC for their mobile terminal in their vehicle.
So the same unit is going to be used in 3 different scenarios, correct?
That's correct.
And that's why you'll see the reduction of total units. So, all right, thank you for that explanation. Anyone, would anyone like to make that motion for the police department as outlined in the?
Well, I really don't know that we have to. We're allowing them to carry it forward. I don't think the 5-year plan requires us to reprogram it here unless it affects, I mean, the money that they have allocated, and we can do it now. But,
or we can do it in November. Is that correct,
well,
Mike?
no, we can do it at the next finance meeting.
Sure.
Oh, okay. All right.
I guess my preference would be, since it's on the floor, and
Not on the floor.
we can do it now, and then we have it as part of the book correctly to show the repurposing, and then that will lead into the budget for 2021. It's certainly up to the council. But
This is actually for 2020. We wanted to spend this money now. I think we're ready to, this is to carry forward from 19 to 20, right? It should be anyway.
correct,
18.
to 2020, right.
So it's already been carried forward.
So can they just do this in finance at a later date? This
You mean when the time comes to purchase, that would be fine as well. The only issue is that I'd like the book to be correct. And if in fact we are carrying it forward for the purpose, the restated purpose that Chief Olson has, my preference would always be to have the
correct,
or posterity to have the document correct, and then the expenditure can go forward. It's again, it's up to the council. It's not a big deal one way or the other.
Well, we don't identify. I mean, so what we're going to take what would be the recommended motion? Taking the squad mobile routers that were funded in 2018 and the MDC replacements. I'm not sure when they were funded, and repurposed to what?
To MDCs for the ISU unit, correct, Chief? That's what it's for?
These were for ISU, but we're just going to make them, instead of them having 2 computers, they're going to have 1 computer. So it's the same, the money is going to the same place, but we're just reducing the amount of devices long term.
Personally, I think they can do that within, they don't even need a budget adjustment.
It's fine.
I mean, they have the money, it's carried forward. It's an MDC related thing, and it's how they spend the money and for what. If we want to, I don't care. We probably could have had it passed by now, but
okay. Well, we won't do it.
From an authority perspective, I think they have the authority to take the dollars that have already been approved to carry forward and spend them.
Okay, we'll look into that, and if we want to make a change, we could bring that change to finance if you want to make it, a legacy, for purpose of the public on that. We'll talk about that at a later next week. Okay. Thank you, Ted. All right. Anyone else? Any other amendments? Any other amendments to the 2020-24 capital improvements program? Mike, do you have a little update you'd like to give the council at this point?
Here we are. Again, no changes to the 2020 spending or borrowing. 2021 final spending, and these are excluding the water utility. 2021 final spending in the plan, $15,846,320. Borrowing for that amount, $15,020,192. In 2023, spending $17,690,160. To fund that, we would borrow $17,075,160. 2023, both spending and borrowing $17,209,900, and in 2024, both spending and borrowing $11,448,330.
Could you just give me 2021 again? I missed that.
Sure. $15,846,320 for the spending.
Okay.
$15,020,192 for the borrowing.
Borrowing 15,022. All right. Thank you very much. I would just say the initial request for borrowing in 2021 was about 19.9 million for 2021. I got it just a slight below 15 million, and now we're just a slight over 15 million. I will tell you that we've always had that goal as a council, and I think a mayor and my predecessor, to try and pay off more than we borrow. That's going to get a little bit tough to do with these big ticket items coming up. So, but I appreciate the job that we did tonight. So any other suggestions, comments? If not, anyone have a motion? Todd, do you have a motion then?
We have a motion on the floor that's been amended a number of times.
Good. Yep, you're right. So hearing no other amendments, there is a motion on the floor.
The motion will have to be voted on by roll call.
Yep, okay, thank you. I'm going to get my thing out here. So the motion is to approve the 2020-2024 capital improvement program with the amendments that were passed tonight as amended. All in favor will vote aye. All opposed will vote no as Clerk Cheslak calls the roll, please.
All right, Alderperson Bates,
Aye.
Lang,
Aye.
Bunjam,
Aye.
Erickson,
Aye.
Spellman,
Aye.
Stevenson,
Aye.
Steele,
Aye.
and Boyette.
Aye.
Motion carries.
That motion passes unanimously. Appreciate it. And thank you for your time and effort. And you know what? We were a little bit later than previous years. That's because of the COVID thing. And we'll be doing this again in November, so or before that, so in October. So we'll make adjustments then. But this is a good roadmap. So thank you all, and thank you to the department heads for. I will tell the council this. There is, even though they all have wish lists, they all have things that are priorities, they all have things that they would like. I think each and every one of them is still cognizant of the fiscal dilemmas that the city finds themselves in and the responsibility of the taxpayer. And many times they've said that, you know, this can wait or that can wait, or here's their priority, because they really do keep the taxpayers in mind, but they still have a responsibility to advocate on behalf of their department and get things done and make sure that they have the equipment necessary to do their job. So it's a fine balance between the wish list and gotta haves. And I think we do a pretty good job of figuring out where that line is. So thank you all very much. All right, so that's a roll call. We go to page 2. Page 2 is a public forum. The public forum is an opportunity for any citizen or anyone to speak to the council on any subject that they want. Jim and I talked earlier, we might in the future put this public forum before anything big like we have that's going to take some time in case we do have someone who'd like to speak. But is there anyone who'd like to speak in the public forum on any topic? Anyone from the like to speak to the council?
We should remind them. We should remind them that they have to mute themselves.
There you go, Todd. Yeah, good suggestion. Thank you. If you are from the public and you'd like to speak, make sure you unmute yourself. And seeing no one, we will close the public forum. We will move on to item number 8, which is the consent agenda. Is there a motion on the consent agenda?
Move to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Motion by Alderman Lenham, seconded by Alderman Stevenson to approve the consent agenda. Is there any unanimous consent to any objection to unanimous consent to approve the consent agenda? Seeing no one, that's so ordered. The reports of standing committees, item number 9, the Public Services and Safety Committee meeting of July 7, 2020. Chairman Bates.
Thank you, Mayor. Reporting out from the July 7th meeting. Minutes can be found on the city website. Committee recommends council approve ordinance 2020-11, amending chapter 16, article 4 of the municipal code relating to bicycles as amended to clarify the language in section 16-160 parent C, and I would so move.
There's a motion by Alderman Bates. Is there a second?
Second.
Alderman Lang seconds. Discussion, questions, comments? We had a discussion about this in committee. I will just ask Adam and my son-in-law who made the presentation for the police department. There is one section in there that after the meeting kind of bothered me because I saw something the other night at a baseball game. If someone, it talks about the only thing you can pull behind a bicycle is if it's a manufactured item from a manufacturer. So if someone is creative in their garage, if they're a do-it-yourself kind of guy and they fabricate a little tow behind the bike thing for their lawn chairs to ride over to Southview Park, which is what I saw. Someone had built themselves a little two-wheeled thing that was kind of attached to the bicycle. Those would not be allowed because they're not made by a manufacturer. Is that correct?
That's correct. And in talking with Sergeant Driscoll, that really is for safety reasons. Because while there are probably some people who would be able to create something that is just as good as a manufactured item, there's no way that we can regulate, a safety concern without saying that it's only manufacturer specifications. Obviously, as Sergeant Driscoll said multiple times, it's also officer discretion. So I think that might give you a little peace of mind, but in terms of writing an ordinance, there's really no way that we would be able to account for people who, are crafty enough to make something safe versus those who are not.
Okay. Alderman Boyette. Alderman Boyette, go ahead.
So I have a pull behind little thing for kids to sit in. It's manufactured. I purchased it, all that. Does this ordinance change affect the fact that maybe somebody has the same thing, but they don't put kids in it? Maybe they put lawn chairs, coolers, whatever, and they don't use it as directed by manufacturers?
No, because
that
the specification is that the thing that's being pulled is designed to be pulled behind a bicycle. So if you took that kiddie car and put a cooler in it, the thing that's being towed is still the kiddie car designed by the manufacturer. Obviously we would be getting a little dicey if you took apart that kiddie car then and turned it into a cooler. That might be different, but what you just described, no, that would fall under this ordinance and be fine.
So as long as it's a manufactured purchased item and not and the use of it then doesn't need to fit the description of the manufacturer, then it doesn't matter as long as it's manufactured professionally, I guess.
Correct. And again, the main issue here is safety. So really, how is it being connected to the bike? How is it being pulled? That's what we're concerned about.
No, I was just curious. Thank you.
Yep.
Alderman Bates.
And I assume that even if it's manufactured by the whatever and it's been 20 years and it's broke down, that the officers still have a way of ticketing someone or telling them to get it off the road. I imagine it's like a car. You have a car that is not road worthy.
Officers obviously always have discretion when they're writing tickets.
Yep. Okay. Yep. Alderman Lundrum, go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor. Sometimes we get requests to modify ordinances in order for the police department to be able to enforce or just to have a little bit more teeth in certain circumstances. So to me, this seems like it's one of those where, like you said, it was officer discretion. If there is an obvious safety thing happening, then they can enforce it because it will be on the books. But I think for the most part, they're probably, I would guess, not going to enforce the thing that the mayor saw at the game, that type of thing. But if somebody's flagrantly violating and causing a problem and causing a safety issue, then they actually do have some teeth to enforce it. That's my take on it. Thank you.
Okay, I'll buy that. So Since Duke Benke's on the line, I will say in 1969 and 1970, when I was 12 and 13 years old, I had my bicycle pulling my wagon with a clothesline behind the bicycle, carrying 57 post-crescent newspapers to 57 different residences every day. So, and every time I would stop, the wagon would bang into my back tire because it was on a clothesline. So, oh gosh.
And he still gets phone calls from people wanting to know why their paper hasn't been delivered.
I was post-crescent carrier of the year one year, buddy. All
I'm
righty.
sure you were.
I was. I kid you not. I won a trip on an airplane to the Detroit Auto Museum. So with Ed Gerke. Ed Gerke was the boss, I think, or Gronke. Ed Gronke. Anyway, so I digress. But all right. There's a motion and a second. Any other comments? Seeing none. All in favor of the ordinance number 2020-11 relating to bicycles as amended will vote aye. All opposed will vote no as Clerk Chessock calls the roll.
All right, Alderperson Lang,
Aye.
Wendrum,
Aye.
Erickson,
Aye.
Spellman,
Aye.
Stevenson,
Aye.
Steele,
Aye.
Boyette,
Aye.
and Bates.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you. That motion passes 8-0.
Committee recommends council approve ordinance 2020-02, amending section 4-98 of the municipal code relating to the issuing of beverage operator licenses.
There's a no. Is there a motion? Is there a motion?
I'll make the motion to approve the ordinance 2020-02.
Okay, Alderman Stevenson moves, seconded by Alderman Lang. Discussion on this item. Any discussion? Seeing no discussion, all in favor will vote aye. All opposed will vote no, as your name is called on the roll by Clerk Cheslock.
All right, Alderperson Wendrum,
Aye.
Erickson,
Aye.
Spellman,
Aye.
Stevenson,
Aye.
Steele,
Aye.
Boyette,
Aye. Aye.
Bates,
Aye.
Alderperson
Aye.
Bates,
Aye.
and Lang.
Aye.
Motion carries.
That motion passes 8-0. Thank
And
you.
that concludes my report.
Thank you for the report. Nothing under item B. Item C is a special finance and personnel committee meeting of July 15, 2020. That will be given by Alderman
Erickson.
Erickson. I'm sorry, Alderman Erickson. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor. Reporting out from the Special Finance and Personnel Committee meeting of July 15, 2020. This meeting took place immediately prior to the council meeting. Item number 1, consideration of committee recommendation regarding development agreements for development of the PH Gladfelter redevelopment area to be acted on after the report from the Community Development Authority. Item number 2 is, and this should be, I believe, C. Wait a second.
Nope, that's all you have right now.
Okay, then that concludes my report.
Okay, thank you very much.
We just, Mayor.
Yeah, go ahead.
Alderman Erickson, you should really, what's in the agenda doesn't necessarily say what the recommendation of the committee was. If you could say that for the record, that would be important.
There you go. Yeah.
So the 2 motions that we discussed in the meeting prior to the council meeting, is that what you would like me to?
That's correct.
Could I have Director Easker read those 2 motions?
Sure.
It was to approve the agreement with Plexus and with the Site 1 development agreement.
Recommendation to enter into the agreement with the Plexus for the amendment of the
Development agreement.
development agreement. The second one was to approve the amendment with the development agreement with the Tadich LLC for the Site 1 development.
So the motion, the motion with regards to Site 1 draft development agreement and the Plexus agreement. That's made by Alderman Erickson, correct?
Oh, we're not taking action now.
Oh, okay.
Right.
You're just stating, you're just,
Reporting that out.
okay, report those out, please. Yep. Those are the two items.
That's correct.
And
Alderman Bates?
I was just going to say that there was the committee approved or recommended to council, but they also took out 4.4.3, I believe it was.
Yep.
That's correct.
Correct.
In the motion.
Yep, that was the one of the change. So, all right. So the committee reports them out at this moment in time, and we'll act on them a little bit later. Thank you, Alderman Erickson. Item number D, the regular Neenah Menasha Fire Rescue Joint Finance and Personnel Committee meeting of June 23rd. Council President Stevenson.
Actually, Alderperson Boyette is the chairperson of that committee, although I can report out if you allow me to.
You can.
Okay,
The committee
go ahead.
met June 23rd and recommends to the council, both councils, to approve the memorandum of understanding for mutual aid and fire suppression services with the state of Wisconsin, DNR, pending review by both city attorneys before signing. And I would so move.
Alderman Stevenson moves, seconded by Alderman Boyette. Any questions or comments on this agreement? Alderman Bates, go ahead.
So pending the review by the attorneys, have they done that yet? Or is the motion to wait for their review, and if they have a problem with it, they'd come back to us?
The latter.
Got it.
Okay, that's been answered. All right. Any other comments or questions? All right. All in favor of that motion will vote aye. All opposed will vote no as your name is called.
Alderperson Erickson,
Aye.
Spellman. Aye. Stevenson,
Aye.
Steele. Aye. Boyette,
Aye.
Bates,
Aye.
Lang,
Aye.
and Lundrum.
Aye.
Motion carries.
That motion passes 8-0. Thank you. All right. Item number 10, report of special committees, liaisons, various special project committees. There is no report from the regular plan commission meeting of July 7th, but there is a report, Representative Lang, from the special plan commission meeting of July 14th. Alderman Lang.
Thank you, Mayor. The Plan Commission met July 14th. There was consideration of the commission recommendation regarding the project plan review for 215 Main Street multifamily residence. And that passed, and I would so move.
Alderman Lang moves. Is there a second? This is Alderman Stevenson seconds. This is regarding the project plan review for 215 Main Street. Questions or comments?
Alderman Lang, that was a recommendation to adopt, correct?
Yes.
Yep. And we do have the applicant is also on the line. So if there is any questions, you can ask Jake. They were answered. Some of the questions were answered in committee, but Jake is online if someone would have a question. Any comments or questions? All seen the project, so we're excited about it. Excited for them to get going.
We're excited as well. Thank you.
Anyone have anything? If not, all in favor of the recommendation regarding the project, the plan review for 215 Main Street will vote aye. All opposed will vote no using the roll, following Chief Stephanie Cheslock's roll call.
All right. Alderperson Spellman.
Aye.
Stevenson.
Aye.
Steele.
Aye.
Boyette.
Aye.
Bates.
Aye.
Lang.
Aye.
Lendrum.
Aye.
And Erickson.
Aye.
Motion carries.
All right, thank you very much. That motion carries 8-0. Thank you. Next, we will move on to the item number C, which is the Board of Public Works meeting of July 7th, 2020. Vice Chairman Bates.
Thank you, Mayor. From the 7th, I have 3 information only items. The board approved pay estimate number 4 for contract 1-20, sewer main street construction on Abbey Avenue, Clybourne Street, Bond Street, and Center Street to Kruchek Construction, Inc. in Green Bay in the amount of $289,233.70. The board approved pay estimate number 3 for contract 2-20, miscellaneous sewer and water main construction on Van Street and Monroe Street to Carl Bowers and Sons Construction Company, Inc., Kokona, in the amount of $139,703.75. And the board approved pay estimate number 3 for contract 7-19, Breezewood Lane and Harness Farm sanitary sewer construction to Dorner, Inc., Luxembourg, in the amount of $286,463.15. From the board meeting of July 14th, we have 3 council action items. The board recommended approval of the award of contract for sanitary 6-20 for sanitary sewer, storm sewer, and pavement construction on Millview Drive to Jerry, if you would remind me that winning bid and name.
The bid award recommendation is to Vinton Construction Incorporated in the amount of $300,445.08.
And that was slightly above what we thought it might be, but the bids came in, 2 bids came in very nice and low, and the others were very high. So I would so move.
There's a motion by Alderman Bates to award the contract 620 for sanitary sewer, storm sewer, and pavement construction. Is there a second?
Second.
I'll second.
Alderman Lang seconded it, I believe. Sorry. So there's a motion and a second. Any comments or questions on this item? Seeing none, all in favor will vote aye. All opposed will vote no. As your clerk calls your name, please.
Alderperson Stevenson.
Aye.
Steele.
Aye.
Boyette.
Aye.
Bates.
Aye.
Lang.
Aye.
Lendrum.
Aye.
Erickson.
Aye.
And Spellman.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you. That motion passes 8-0.
The board recommended approval to the council regarding the development agreement for Site 1 in the Gladfelter redevelopment area, and that will be acted on after the report from the CDA. The board recommended council approval of the development agreement for multiple sites in the PH Gladfelter redevelopment area, also to be acted on after the report from the CDA. And that concludes my report.
Thank you for the report. Item number E is the Community Development Authority report. I'm just not sure. Director Hayes give that report?
Vice Chair Bates would give that report.
Vice Chair Bates, go ahead.
Okay, I thought the mayor usually did that one. The CDA recommended approval of the development agreements for the developments in the PH Gladfelter redevelopment area, and I would so move.
Alderman Bates moves, seconded by Alderman Stevenson.
Mayor, now the way this is written up, I'm not sure if this is
It
this
should be two
split off
motions.
from them? It should be two motions.
Yeah,
I will start with the
site
motion.
one and the others.
If the second will agree, I will start with the recommends approval of the development agreement for Site 1.
Thank you. There you go.
If I can
That's with the
interject.
removal of paragraph 4.4.3, correct?
Exactly. With the removal of the extra site space needed for construction.
All right, so this is the Site 1 draft development agreement, which is the development agreement with Tadic Investment Partners LLC to construct a mixed-use development on Site 1 of the Gladfelter redevelopment, and recommend council approve the agreement. So that's your motion, correct?
And taking off 4.4.3.
You got her. Okay, thank you. Jim, you have anything?
No.
Okay.
Is my second okay, or are you looking for a second?
Alderman Stevenson seconded.
I'm
Chris,
fine.
Chris, you have anything to add?
No, I don't. That's fine.
Okay. Anyone have any further questions or comments? This went before the Finance Committee before, so I don't know if there's any other alderman who'd like a chance to ask a question or two. All right, seeing no questions at this point, we've been briefed in some confidential memos and that beforehand, and also the committee. All in favor of that motion to approve the development agreement for Site 1 will vote aye. All opposed will vote no. As Clerk Cheslak calls your name, please.
All right, Alderperson Steele,
Aye.
Boyette,
Aye.
Bates,
Aye.
Lang,
Aye.
Lundrum,
Aye.
Erickson,
Aye.
Spellman,
Aye.
and Stevenson.
Aye.
Motion carries.
That motion passes 8-0.
Now I have the question, since there's only one item on the agenda, but it says consideration regarding development agreements. I'm going to assume that I can split off the second one, which is the Community Development Authority recommended approval of the development agreement for agreement with, I believe it's considered with Plexus. Is that correct?
Plexus Development Agreement. Yep.
Mayor, if you've got that written out that way, I would appreciate that. So I would so move.
There's a motion by Alderman Bates. Is there a second? Seconded by Alderman Boyette. Questions or comments on this development agreement? These were also discussed earlier tonight and in previous discussions, communications. Alderman Bates, go ahead.
I just want to let everyone in the audience know that it gets approved through the Plan Commission, the Finance Commission, or the Finance Committee, the CDA, and Public Works looked at it as well. So it's going through many levels before it gets even here.
All right, Alderman Stevenson.
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, I wanted to take a second and just acknowledge the efforts that Chris Hayes and his department, along with the mayor, have done to bring the last couple of projects to us. Sure, there are a lot of questions, and we all have questions regarding it. But I know these things are complex, and I know that they take time, and I want to know that I appreciate all the effort and the diligence you have, and that as we move forward through these projects, the council's responsibility is to ask the questions and make sure that we're doing things in a manner which is consistent with how the taxpayers and the voters want. But I want to acknowledge the efforts that you and your department and the mayor have done to bring these to us.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yeah, these things can never go fast enough, and it takes a long time. And what's kind of exciting to me is, we are in the middle of a pandemic here, and we brought both of these projects together at a time when things are not going so well for a lot of places in the state. So lots of progress, and we appreciate the confidence and the willingness to partner with the council, who gives us the ability to, Chris and his crew, and to go after these things. So, but Todd's right. Your job is now to make sure that the work that was done, laid the groundwork for these, is correct, and we appreciate it. We're going to do as well as we can to make sure that all your questions are answered. And some of the earlier ones I've written down. So, thank you. Anyone else? Comments, questions? If not, there's a motion to approve the Plexus development agreement, or Plexus agreement. All in favor will vote aye. All opposed will vote no, as Stephanie calls your name for the roll call.
Right, Alderperson Boyette.
Aye.
Bates.
Aye.
Lang.
Aye.
Landrum.
Aye.
Erickson.
Aye.
Spellman.
Aye.
Stevenson.
Aye.
And Steele.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you very much. That motion passes.
And that concludes my report.
Thank you for that report. Item number F is a report from the library board. Alderperson Erickson.
Thank you, Mayor. The Neenah Public Library Board met today at 4 o'clock in the Shattuck Room of the Neenah Library. There are a lot of things going on at the library. I would like to highlight a few of them. The first is this past month, 3,935 items have been picked up with curbside pickups. So that is really good. And I have some projects that you could check out from the library. I don't know if you can see this. This is called a Crafts to Go kit. So if you have kids anywhere from 2 to tweens, they can get one of these projects to take home and work on a craft kit, and it's free of charge. So that's a new thing that's available at the library. Another thing that is kind of new is these are called Wonder Books. And what they do is when you open them up, I'm going to show you right here. We have 300 of them at the. So it's read along mode, and somebody will read the story to your child. It's a really great thing, especially for young kids, to have a story read to them. And it's also good for reluctant readers who want to read along with someone as they read. So for those of you who are familiar with like the Nate the Great books, those are also available as a Wonder Book. So if you have a chance, check those out. Two things I'd like to highlight is July 17th. The library will be closed. We Energies is working on the transformer next to the library along Oak Street, and it's scheduled to go live on the 17th. So for that to happen, it will take about 6 hours. So the library will be closed on the 17th. And also on July 29th, the library will be closed due to a WinFox upgrade. There will be no internet, or there would not be the ability to check out books at that time. So they felt it would be best to be closed. So mark those dates down that the library will be closed. But the library has been open since June 8th and running a very, very successful program, and we're one of the few in the state that are open, so we can be very proud of that. And I think the staff and Director Rob has done a wonderful job keeping the patrons and the staff safe. So we're very, very fortunate to have the library open for our citizens. And so that concludes my report.
Thank you. Yeah, they haven't missed a beat. Checking out the checkout numbers are just incredible for what's going on out there. So and they're doing all the CDC guidelines, and they're even doing more. So that's really a great thing. So thank you for that report. The Neenah Arts Council is also Alderperson Erickson. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor. The Neenah Arts Council met last Wednesday in the council chambers. We have an exciting thing to report. Saturday and Sunday, July 25th and 26th is Chalk the State. And what that is we are encouraging residents to create chalk art in their driveways, on their sidewalks, and share it on the Neenah Arts Council Facebook page. And when they do, they will be in a drawing for some fun prizes. If you don't have chalk, chalk will be available at the library on Friday, July 24th. First come, first serve while supplies last, but it will be available for you to take home and use. So create some beautiful art in your neighborhood and then post it on the Neenah Arts Council Facebook page. And that concludes my report.
Thank you. That sounds like fun. All right. Then we go to any petitions. I don't believe there are any petitions in front of us. Any council directives anyone would like to talk about? Any unfinished business? Unfinished business. We will, with regards to unfinished business, in this next week, we will be having some discussions with Alderman Stevenson on where we're headed with regards to meetings. I know some of you have talked to Todd or I about your preference or what we would like to do. We've been canvassing other communities to see where they're at with regards to meeting in person or continue to do this for a while, but I think a decision will probably be made in the next week. There is some things I know, like exemplary performance awards, things like that. We have found out from the state of Wisconsin, Attorney Westbrook has found out we can meet live in the council chambers, and anyone who is not comfortable or does not have the ability or would prefer not to meet is allowed under the statutes, the changes, the governor's emergency orders to meet remotely, virtually. So if high risk, things like that, or if someone just feels the need or they're not feeling well. I mean, one of the guidelines that we operate on is if you don't feel well, you don't go to the meeting. So we are going to talk about those things as staff in a department head meeting, but then also with aldermen and the council president. So some, without getting into great deal, I know Monash has been meeting for three meetings now. Some of the other communities are meeting, some are not. So we'll talk more about that. I know some of you have sent me your feelings, and I appreciate that. And we're also continuing daily to monitor where we are from the state and the county. And I talked to Doug Guerin, the Winnebago County Health Director, yesterday, and I asked him for an update on the numbers of Neenah only. They sent me one time so far. They've carved out just Neenah's numbers, and I've asked him if he can do that again for us. And he has said that they will do that and get us those numbers soon, and I'll share them with you. So that's what I have for unfinished business. Anyone else? Under new business, anyone have anything under new business? Alderman Lang, go ahead.
It just occurred to me, we a few years ago put in place the new process for applying for grants. And I was wondering if we could potentially have staff from all departments give us an update on how that new process is being carried out, if it's felt that it's effective, or is it, you know, we've just added layers of more red tape or whatever for the department heads to go through as they're applying for grants. I just think it might be useful for us to review and ask how it's going for our department heads. So I'm not sure what the process would be, what I would be asking for, other than just short notes.
Mike Easter, I suppose we could, or Todd, we could either do that in a finance meeting. I think that's where that directive or that came from. So either a finance meeting, or we could ask them to compile a memo between all the department heads and send it out to you. Either one. What would you prefer, Todd?
Whatever Jane likes.
Yeah.
Whatever Jane wants.
You want to meet him, Mike? That was a finance committee initiative,
Right.
so we could have an update. If
Might be
Tammy,
a good, sorry, Mayor, might be a good discussion at the next department head meeting. Maybe put together some sort of collaborative document for the aldermen, and then if there is a desire to pursue it further, then we could take it to committee.
Okay, then I'll talk to Tammy about that. Okay, Tammy?
Okay.
Your committee, so committee of jurisdiction, I would guess. So, okay, thank you, Alderman Lang. I do have one question under new business. Jerry, Breezewood Lane, is that when can we tell people it's going to be open?
They got half of the hydro seeding done this afternoon. They've got a couple hours of work tomorrow morning, and they should be wrapped up with the landscaping, and that is the very last thing that they have to do out there. So should have her open late morning tomorrow.
Okay.
I'm gonna record that one.
Yeah.
I apologize for getting people's hopes up.
Okay. All right. And then my other couple things are, I think we had a very good fireworks show. Clearly, there were some parts of the city that had difficulty seeing it, but the comments overall were very positive, and you know, it's unfortunate some people didn't get to see him, but we knew that not everyone would, but a great part of the city was able to see him, so that was kind of fun. And I guess my last comment is that we have had what I would consider a great week with these two development agreements that we talked about tonight in the downtown area, over $20 million of investment into the downtown. And then if you drive around the city, I mean, Cardinal Platte, I don't know if any of you have been out to the Cardinal Platte, that's being, the streets are in, and you drive out, that's off of Lone Oak, right, Jerry? If you take Lone Oak out, all the lots are being readied for development. To the Cardinal Platte, the Pendleton apartments, that was supposed to take 5 years to do. We're going to get them done in about 3 years, and they're going to be all fully occupied with a waiting list. The Coral Court apartments, you've all seen a lot of activity happening on Coral Court. Those are more traditional market rate, not low income, but moderate income apartments, townhouses that are going to be available in a short period of time, because that project is starting. And then of course we have Integrity Acres out there off of Wooden Shoe and G. So if you get a chance, just take a drive out and look at all these different things that are going on with housing. I mean, it was a very short period of time ago that we had less than 20 buildable lots in the city of Neenah. And now we've got a good stock again, and we've got some high-end luxury apartments, and then we also have some townhouses going on Winneconne that'll be for the more affordable housing. So exciting things are happening. So I just am tickled pink that it was a really good week for all of us. And then lastly, of course, I just do want to mention, and I don't have my notes in front of me, but I believe Saturday morning there is a celebration of life for our colleague Christopher Coons that will be held 10 a.m. until noon on Congress Place. We have shut down the street using the block party permit of Congress Place. It's an easy street to shut down because, you know, those of you who have been back there can tell that it's a nice, you know, there's not a lot of traffic in that. But Ellen and neighbors are going to have an opportunity for us to stop by, say hello, pay our respects. I guess they're going to have a microphone where if someone wants to share a story about Christopher, you're going to get that opportunity for. So if you haven't signed the card yet, I didn't look, there is a card here at City Hall for the council members. There's a card for department heads. Ellen has talked a lot with Lee, Todd, some other people about, you know, an appropriate remembrance, and they're talking about a tree, they're talking about a park bench, they're talking about some sort of bicycle park bench. So those things are still going to be forthcoming, but that's Saturday morning from 10 to noon. Anyone else have any further information on that? But that's how I understand it. Chris, go ahead.
I was just, Mayor, I'm sorry, not on that. But your encouragement to get out and see some new things. If you get to the downtown and Gateway Plaza, to check out the new bike racks that were installed. I know we did a Facebook post, but
thank you.
So for those that haven't seen them, they're kind of neat.
Very cool. I have not seen him yet, but I saw him on Facebook. Anyone else? Well, everybody stay safe and healthy. Is there a motion?
Move to adjourn.
Second.
There's a motion by Lundrum, seconded by Stevenson. All in favor of adjournment signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Hi.
Any opposed? Hearing no opposed, we are adjourned. Thank you all very much. Stay
Night,
safe and
everybody.
healthy.
Good night.
Broadcasts of the City of Neenah Common Council meetings are produced by University Studios of the University of Wisconsin-Fox Valley. Neenah residents can get information about City Council meetings, City Committee meetings, meeting agendas, and other documents via the City website, www.neenahgov.org. Neenah residents can express their opinions about city issues or about these broadcasts by contacting the mayor's office, contacting their city alderman, or by completing the electronic feedback form on the city website, www.neenahgov.org. All public portions of the meetings are recorded in entirety and are not edited for playback.